Sheriff Clifford, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
Man, I'm good. I just got another cup of coffee. It's like cup number 4 for the day. It's fantastic.
Oof, I'm only on 2, so I should be all right.
Yeah, but I've been up since like 4:30, like doing it. It's like, and now I got like I think 3 or 4 more episodes, interviews after you, which is great. Like and by the way, they're all awesome. Yeah. It's just like you better not drop in energy like, as you go throughout the day because everyone's important. Listen, there's an issue that again, I'm not in law enforcement and I've always had, good experiences with law enforcement, but there's an issue that has been kind of trickling into my life quite a bit. I have a good friend, Mackenzie Tiggs, who I met a couple of years ago, who's big into mental health first responders. And she was a paramedic in EMS and was like, oh my God, man, I had no idea how hard the first responders for the medical, like the EMS people, get run and how dark. There's like, you see people dying in your ambulance every day and then you're just like going home like nothing happened. I also, as you know, got very interested and engaged with tech safety for children and school administered tech, personal tech, these things. And, then ultimately in that journey found out things that were like, oh my God, this is the kind of stuff where people talk like you can never unsee this. And I'm not saying that I've been privy to those types of pieces of evidence, but I've heard very detailed explanations of them like, oh my God, how could you do this? And then I realized, obviously, kind of putting things together, I have a family member who's a law enforcement agent in Berkeley, and he used to work in a special victims unit and worked with high schools and stuff as well. And I mentioned some of this to him one day, just in passing, like, hey, I'm working on this program. And his demeanor changed instantaneously. And initially I thought he was like offended that I was talking to him about his work. And then I realized that there's this burden that he carries that he's never shared with me or my wife or, I think a large part of the rest of the family, that he just walks around with, having seen and experienced and known these horrendously dark sides of humanity that he, by the way, and we ask him to as a community, he has to deal with and he has to look at and he can't look away from. And that has really changed the way I view, when I see law enforcement or even EMS, it's like, or, firefighters, it's like, holy cow, man, how do you guys manage to look at the most painful things that humanity can produce and keep coming back every day and then be able to go home, not just come back, but go home and function in your private lives?
Yeah, boy, that's a lot to unwrap. I'm not even really sure where to start with that, but you hit it right on the head. I mean, we're not immune to it here in the Treasure Valley. We have, a lot of people doing really good work, especially in our victim investigation units. And, you bring up a good point. I was just talking to one of our special victims units detectives, and she's amazing. She's an amazing detective. And we were talking about, going and seeing a counselor, and she's very open about, because she sees just nasty stuff. And we were trying to figure out how we make it happen where we can have some of the specific deputies go and see a counselor on duty, because she said, yeah, I work all day and then I go home and I'm trying to make dinner for my kids and care for my children. And I got all of these.
Is that, it's on the table. But anyway, you were saying she's trying to make dinner and whatnot.
Yeah, so she comes home and after a day of being exposed to all these things, and she's trying to care for her family and make dinner and figure out, well, how am I supposed to get to a counseling appointment? And I'm here after all these things happen to me. I'm trying to be mom now, and I have all this stuff going through my head, and then I got to make an appointment for like 8:00 at night to go see a counselor. And then come back home, go to bed, get up and do it all over again. And I thought she had a really good point because, she's getting damaged at work every day and just coming home and, hey, we want you to be healthy. We want you to make sure you see a counselor. And she's like, well, when am I supposed to do that? Right? At what point do I break away from my family to go do that? And
especially when it's something that is work related. Like there was this large class action lawsuit years ago that I learned about with ag workers in California. Mm-hmm. And this was like 2005. I had a buddy who was actually working on this particular lawsuit. And he's like, look, man, you have these people that pick grapes. It was like the Grape Picker Association or something. You have them pick grapes, and then they're required after they clock out to clean the basket for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like you scrub the basket, and you have to clean it, and if you don't clean it, you can't use it the next day. So it's this big thing. So they're essentially getting 15 minutes extra labor that's mandatory that they're not getting paid for, and they can't function without it. You multiply that by thousands and thousands of people and hundreds of days, and you have like a gigantic sum of money that these people are due. And again, I'm not saying that money is necessarily the thing, but it's like, wait, if you're saying I can't really function, if we all acknowledge I can't really function in my capacity without this extra time, why is this on my time?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right that we need them to clean the basket in order to function as a person. So do I pay them on duty to go clean the basket so that I can retain this amazing detective, or do I just let her be damaged and we got to replace her because she can't do the job anymore? And I think the answer is we take care of them while they're on duty, because it's very specific what they're doing, and they need specific help. And most deputies will tell you, hey, yeah, I'm seeing a counselor, those types of things. They're not going to come out and, advertise it. But if you ask other cops a lot of times, hey, do you have a good counselor? Do you, somebody you can rent? They'll tell you, like, oh, yep, this is who I see. So we're lucky that internally we are recognizing what is happening and normalizing it, if you will. We still have a long way to go. It's still not perfect, but when I started a quarter of a century ago, it was you rub some dirt on it, get back in there. I don't want to hear you whine. And it was kind of a different generation. I came in on the start of the new generation, and all the crusty dudes were still kind of hanging around, and they all left years later. And that's when things started kind of to evolve of, hey, we're damaged goods here. And how are we going to get help if none of us are willing to admit it, willing to say, this isn't weakness. This is what will make us stronger.
Right.
And we've come a long way. And again, we still have a ways to go, but pretty proud of where we've come from. Because
may I ask a question about that? When you have people that are articulating like, oh, maybe this is weakness, or maybe this is superfluous, or maybe this is something that should be dealt on their time, and you come at it from the standpoint of like, hey man, this is like, we have to take care of our people, and like, this isn't right, whatever you might want to articulate. There is that personal care and concern for the individual. It's like, that's Steve. He's my coworker. Like, he's really struggling. We need to help Steve, right? Okay, fine. But from a department or an office standpoint as well, the efficacy and risk that you engage in and are shooting for with individuals that have been able to seek help, they will be far, and again, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but like, I'd imagine if you had somebody who's able to work through and successfully navigating these traumas, they're going to be far better at responding and connecting with human beings and doing the job versus somebody who's just carrying around all this insanity in their head. They haven't been successfully able to engage in this and unpack it. And then when they show up, they're at like a 12 already, or they're, already have all this stuff, and they're not going to be able to respond in a rational manner as frequently as is necessary.
Yeah, that's correct. This is more than just this person is having a problem.
Yeah. Like, we like Steve. We got to take care of Steve.
But this is also maintenance. Like, they need maintenance, right? We want to be able to say, hey, go get help right now, even though you're not, you think you're not having a problem, or you're not having a problem right now, but get help so that we don't find you in crisis. And then it's like, oh, all hands on deck. We gotta help fix this, and we will. But how do we do the maintenance to keep them from breaking and they get into that breaking point? Because you're right. You have somebody carrying all this weight and all these images and all these experiences, and they go to a call for a neighbor problem, for one guy's walking on another guy's grass, and they lose it. I mean, we see it all the time all over the United States. And when you've been doing the job long enough and you see something on YouTube or whatever, they caught the clip of the cop doing the thing. Right. One of the first things that goes through your mind is like, what's going on with that guy? Like, what what's making him do that,
Right.
And especially if you know the person and it's out of character, then we always are like, whoa, that's a red flag. What's
Something happened.
Something is going on that is not normal. And luckily, we look for that.
Yeah.
And the coworkers look for that now. That's something we didn't get long ago of, hey, taking care of each other in that way. Hey,
Sure.
we got each other's backs. We'll kick in doors, gunfights, bar fights, whatever it is. Yeah, we got your back. But now we're to the point where, hey, we need to check on Jimmy here. Something's going on. I remember long ago, and one of the guys that worked on my team was on the phone with a guy out in the desert he called in and said, I'm going to commit suicide. He ended up being able to make contact with him. Everybody's trying to get there. And the guy just said, hey, I'm sorry. And he kills himself on the phone with the deputy on the phone with him. And one of the other teammates is like, hey, Sarge, we need to go check on him. Like, check on him big time, because that was a big deal. I'm like, and I think he's upset. That's a big step in law enforcement. We need to check on my buddy, instead of, yeah, that sucks, man. Let's go to the next call, rub some dirt on it.
I don't consume a lot of social media, like privately. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously I post a lot of things all the time, so I have to go onto these platforms to post stuff. And as such, I end up seeing TikTok is hot for like sending me body cam footage these days.
Yeah.
Like, stop. It was like the person that, gets pulled over. Like, there's one where it's either the person who the injustice is being dealt to is actually a law enforcement officer. And so it's like poo on the person on duty who's like, being super rude, giving him a ticket. And he's like, I'm actually the sheriff and you're being a dick. Like, or you have the person who's on duty trying to be as responsible and reasonable as possible, and the other person just losing their damn minds. And I recognize that is a hyper distillation of, and some of it may actually be 100% fictitious, like, of course, but just understanding. And again, in my brief, like 10-second passing through that, it's understanding the nature of the problem of, like, these are inhuman interactions. Like, this is not an interaction with a human being that I could ever find myself engaging in. Cause I always wonder, like, oh, well, can't you just say this, or can't you just explain the situation, or can't you just, and it's like, oh yeah, because you're trying to apply your normal, like, bumbling around, the coffee shop interactions with people. And these are completely separate from anything you could conceptualize, and hyper unique. And even I get like anxious. I'm like, oh my God, get it. Cause instantly, like, my throat closes. I'm like, this is so weird to imagine going through that all the time.
Well, and you say that, like, I wouldn't engage with people like this, and people, you're right. You'd call the police.
Right. Right. Get someone else to deal with it.
Get that guy here to do it.
Yeah.
And then, I think people don't realize how much energy goes into, being a law enforcement or a first responder, period.
Right.
I should say that I tell the academy graduates all the time of, this badge and this uniform means that you need to put your best self forward every day. The public expects your best self when you wear this uniform and perform your duties. And sometimes that takes a lot of energy, right? That we all still have issues at home, financial issues. Somebody's got a dad who's got Alzheimer's, or a terminally ill brother, or
Right.
I mean, all those things are still going on. And I'm not saying it's wrong. But it's a lot of work to say, but now when I wear this, I've got to bring my best self every time. And so those things that are happening, I have to put them aside and file them away somewhere else for another time,
Right.
and then deal with all this crap that's going on at work.
Right. And yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's just hard. There's like, listen, that we're not saying that that law enforcement officers shouldn't do that.
Correct.
Right. Like, we just need to acknowledge, kind of as a community, like, this is a really tough ask, and there are resources that need to be pumped into people if they're going, like firemen, they have to get PPE equipment, right? Like, this is a really tough ask. They're going into like, places where people are dying and they're dragging people out and they could die themselves. Like, so what do? We arm them. We protect them with physical and then of course they see the worst of like a friend of mine used to be in law enforcement. He talked about trying to save people's lives during a brush fire. And he was like staring down at this person whose eyelids had burnt off and these just like blinding white eyeballs staring up at him. He was like, it looks like burnt chicken.
Yeah.
He was like, and you're trying to get this, tube is to keep them breathing and they're just staring at you. And he was like, how do you go home and go to like the Little League game having that in your head? Have you ever seen, I just saw this last night and I was like, I can't watch this show. But it was called The Perfect Neighbor. It's on Netflix. Oh my God, dude. I think this perfectly illustrates from 0 to 100, the problem. And again, maybe I'll watch a couple episodes now, but I watched the trailer. I was like, this is too much, man. I can't. It's this gal who's moves into this neighborhood with a bunch of kids and starts calling 911 constantly because like these people are screaming all that. And like initially people are like, wait, what's happening? It's like, oh, there are kids screaming and like squealing across the street. And then you have all this incredible tension with the neighbors because they're like, dude, our kids are playing football. And then the law enforcement agents are there like, okay, like, is there a crime occurring? Like, is somebody getting hurt? Like, and then how do you deal with this person every time this gal dials 911? They got to show up, right? Like they got to show up and they got to be ready and patient. And then ultimately something really bad does happen. So it's like, you can't be desensitized to say this is an irrelevant situation, but you also can't go guns a-blazing thinking that some kid is getting abused every second. Like, how do you deal? And that's just one person. And she like plagued the police and sheriff's office.
So I've never seen this clip. I don't know what show you're talking about, but you're describing things that happen every day, every day here. Those are real things. You're describing a call for service,
right?
That I've dealt with that in my career. It's happening today. I guarantee you. And not to say that this place is awful. I'm just saying those things happen.
Sure.
And just the mental weight of that, of like, okay, I have to go deal with this lady again. And what is it this time? And like you said, God forbid now something actually has happened.
Right.
So we can't ignore it because now something actually did happen.
Right.
That is very common. What you've described is very common. It's a real thing.
Right. So I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. So your idea is essentially that you need to start offering mental health support services on the clock. So it's not something that somebody's expected on their own time to like go and find this thing. It's like, I don't have time in my life at 8:30 at night now that I'm exhausted. And God forbid you're a single parent because you're not like ditching your kids. What, you're going to get a babysitter too? So now I have to hire the babysitter. My kids just got old enough that my oldest can babysit the younger ones. And my wife and I have gone out twice now. Like with that, and we're actually paying them off. We're paying them off. We're like, look, we could spend $60 on a baby. Let's just give the oldest one $10 and the younger one's $5 each, $20, and we're gonzo, man.
Oh yeah. Wait till they start driving. You're like, oh, this is so, I'm worried, but that's freeing.
Yeah. So again, anyway. on the clock, hey, look, we're going to have a much higher probability of people taking advantage of mental health and support services, which means we're going to have better officers in the office.
Yeah. And I should look at explain a little bit of history. So 2 sheriffs ago, Sheriff Gary Rainey, he started us on a program, and this is kind of when mental health started to be a little more important in law enforcement. And basically, deputies went to a required counseling session once a year, and then the next year you went to a required physical checkup, and then every year that rotated. Sure. And it was really funny because I was very open to it. I didn't have any issues, but I'll go to this counselor, And at first, all the cops were like, oh, that's none of their business. No, nobody wants in your business. Just tell us that you went. It doesn't matter what happened there. You just tell us that you went. I remember my buddy was like, I don't, why do I need to go to this? This isn't, I said, well, if you don't feel like you need to go, that's great. I don't feel like I need to go, but I'm going to go because then if something happens down the road, now I know what to do. He goes, and it's through EAP, you get 5 free visits. So he goes and he uses all 5. Like, see, you needed to go. You didn't even know it. You went and talked to this person and realized, ooh, I got some baggage to unload here. And that's the prime example of how good that program is. Now it's become much more normalized. That's many years ago, and we still do that. But myself, I took advantage of it exactly like it was designed. Years later, I need to go to an EAP appointment. It's an employee assistance program. So we can go for free for 5 sessions per incident to a counselor. And I found myself, I need to go talk to somebody, but I knew what to do. Right. So we have that historical. So how do we build on that? Some of the, the SVU people that worked at Idaho Crimes Against Children, those are horrible, awful things. I don't know how they even do them.
But somebody has to.
Somebody has to, right?
Somebody has to do
Absolutely.
it. Like we as a community functioning here, overwhelmingly, we're asking someone.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's just, I've been blown away by that kind of in having conversations like, dude, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to pull the person out of the burning car. Like somebody has to clean up after the car wreck where somebody's face is fused to the steering wheel. Like somebody has to do these things. And we just, as a functional society, we don't think about it because we never interact with it. But if there's no one there to do it, like I said, there was an accident. This wasn't a terrible accident, but at Hill and 55 the other day, and there, firemen were there, and somebody was like sweeping up glass, and here was a fireman sweeping up glass. I'm like, man, that he shouldn't be sweeping up glass in the middle of the road. But then again, someone has to do it. You're going to have a maintenance, like a road just following around. It was like, no, these people have to do everything. We need them to do it. And they can't just leave it. And here this guy's like, yeah, man, like I pulled the femur out just right and it kept him alive. And now I got to like clean up the glass and the sand from the blood and everything else. Like, gosh, man.
Yeah. And I don't have this statistic for all first responders. I only have one for law enforcement. But I would imagine it is similar for EMS and fire. And it depends on this statistic. It depends on which one you look at. But so I usually just stick with this one. But your average person, your average American, will have somewhere between 1 and 4 traumatic events happen in their life, like traumatic events that are categorized as will affect them deeply, are very out of the norm for a human being to experience, whatever it may be.
Like somebody dies right in front of you, something of that nature. Yeah.
Your average law enforcement officer experiences 180 just during their career. And that's average. I mean, there are people that experience plenty more.
That's like 1 every 2 months.
Yeah.
It's 6 a year if you do 30 years.
Yep. And I was looking at one this morning and it was 6. It was like once a month. So I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember what it was. This was a couple years ago, but let's take those events out of it and we put people into the academy, right? So the podcast hold that thought. The podcast I'm listening to is interviewing this college kid.
Sure.
And he was talking about when he was in high school, the kid brought a gun to school and they locked them all down. And this kid with the gun is wandering the halls, empty halls. Well, he didn't know much about it. He brought the wrong bullets for the gun, right? Okay. So there's no bullets in the gun, but nobody knows that. And he's walking around and he's tapping on the windows to all the classrooms while they're in there huddled together, right? And he's talking about how traumatic that was and how it's affected him years later. And when he got into college, how he started sitting with his back to the wall and always up in the upper row of the auditorium and as far away from the door as he could and being able to see. And he was traumatized by that. And it was weird. I'm like, I have this epiphany of we do that to these people before they even get in a car. We do that to them for good reasons, but we traumatize people before they're even driving. We put them through scenarios. We give them information that traumatizes them. This could happen to you. Here are some videos. We're going to go through scenarios. That guy is going to, someone's going to attack you during this scenario. That's before they even experience it. So no wonder we're all broken, right? So it's important for us to recognize that, we have to do that and we sign up for it. I mean, we do. And anybody who says, well, that's what you signed up for, you're right. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take care of all of these first responders immediately. I mean, fire and EMS is the same thing, right? I mean, before they go on a call, they are experiencing visually and auditorily and through scenarios that are damaging their brain to say, all right, this is something that's serious. It's something that's going to affect the way I behave at work and at home probably. And so let's take care of them and maintenance them, not just this guy's in crisis, let's help him.
Yeah. And the way you're describing it, obvious, like it sounds like trauma, right? Like it's like just the training. It's like, okay, trauma, but it's like, listen, we need to have you resort down to these like lizard brain instincts in these situations because we need you to stay safe, right? Like you can't be like Matt just bumbling down the street, assuming things will be all right. Like you need to resort in the most instinctual way in these scenarios. So it's like, yeah, it's traumatizing, but we also need to reliably know that you're going to respond in this way without thinking. And we're going to do that by essentially beating the hell out of you in this way, mentally, physically, however it is. And then you'll resort back to this in your most traumatic time. It's like, that's part of it, right? Like it's not hazing for hazing's sake. It's no. I need to know that you're going to be okay. And part of being okay is knowing that you're going to instantly go to, these are the worst things that can happen. And how do I respond to it?
Yep. They are all in the name of saving someone else's life or saving your life, protecting someone or protecting yourself. That's what we're here for. It's part of public safety is making snap decisions under stressful conditions that, people have called you there because there's an issue. That issue could be very traumatic in the moment. It might not be.
Sure.
But we have to train you to worst case scenarios so we know that you can perform, not just so you can get the job done, but you can keep others safe and yourself safe, right? That's our job. Right. And so, yeah, you hit it right on the head. It's not, well, let's damage these people so that they can, so that we got them. No, it's you've signed up for this and this is what the job is. And this is the public expectation, which is not wrong. But you have to know these things and you have to prove to us that you can do these things in order for you to keep on living sometimes.
Right. I had a buddy who went into BUDS training and he was a friend of mine from college and then went in after college. Very unfortunate, had to ring the bell. He got his leg got screwed up, but it wasn't broken. So he's like, I can't walk. They're like, yeah, but you don't have any fractured bones. So we don't care. Yeah. Right. Like, and again, the attrition there is real.
Yeah.
Right. But he went on to work in Navy Special Forces and work alongside the SEALs. But one of the things that I was a swimmer growing up and he was not. And so he was like, look, I got to be able to swim this far, for this long. And talking through the swimming stuff with him and doing some swimming training, I was like, listen, you're going to go through these different waves as you start to run out of oxygen. And you got to understand that there's just going to be waves. Like give it 3 seconds and your stomach's going to calm down. Now, eventually, yeah, you will drown. Like you'll run out of oxygen, but you're going to have like 4 or 5 of these anxiety waves. If you panic and tense up, it's just going to expedite the process. So just know that your entire body is going to be like, oh, I'm about to die. And you're like, yeah, take a seat, just hang on a second. And going through that. And then of course, in BUDS training, it's very common for people to actually drown and then they revive them, or to pass out underwater. And, all of that to say, it's like, yeah, sometimes you're going to need to know that like, hey, the last 10 seconds are going to be the difference between life and death. And if I panic in those last 10 seconds, it's going to definitely be death. Like there's not guaranteed that I'm going to make it out, but I'm going to have the best shot if I stay calm. And like, these are, again, I was never in the service, but these, chatting with my friends who have been, it's like, yeah, man, like that's essentially where they have to take you to the point where it's like, oh no, you passed out underwater and thank God the people were there and they grabbed you, smacked you on the back, got oxygen, you woke back up, but you actually would have died. Like that was death for your body. And you got to be able to work through that if you're going to survive in actual situations.
I think it's a good example to bring up the BUDS training because that, people are really interested. I mean, Navy SEAL stuff interests everybody. And it's important to recognize, yeah, that's not hazing. That's not, hey, let's see what we can do to these. No, that work is the work is intense. The training has to be more intense. And so that's why that's world-renowned training, right? Because they know this is the job, and the job is always at 11, right?
Right.
We got to train them at 12. And unfortunately, we don't get that in law enforcement. The military is really great at it, but we don't, because of our structure, that we don't get near the training we need. My attorney always jokes. He's like, people think you guys are SEAL Team 6 walking around. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was at the range last night. I said, man, I can't even remember the last time I was at the range because of what I do. I don't get on a regular schedule. Sure. But I mean, the people about what kind of, how much training do you get in this thing? I'll tell them 4 hours a year. What are you talking? Yeah. How much? I got, 400 some deputies that need that training.
You have 800 employees.
Yeah, so it's almost 900 now. And so, and it's not just us. I shouldn't say it. It's not us. That's across the nation. Unless you are in a gigantic department like NYPD or something, and you're on their SWAT team. That's a good example, right? Like they can train and train and train until an incident comes up, and then they go. Well, that's not how general law enforcement works. No, you're just always on the clock, right? You can try and train if you want. Yeah. But probably a call is going to come out and interrupt all that, so you can't make it too intense.
But you also, like, one of the trickier things is your job is nuanced, because you can't just be at an 11 all the time, right? Because you have to go from, the most taxing, difficult thing that might be a passive, horrendous experience where you show up after the fact and you have to digest and work through the logistics of, some horrible situation, and then go to the next thing, which might be like back to school night for parents at, the local middle school, where you have to like smile and talk to people. And so it's like, yeah, there is an admiration for people like SEALs or Rangers or things of that nature that are these super badass people that are capable, like, stay hard, like David Goggins style, right? All the time. It's like, yeah, look, and great, honor to them, 100%. But you don't want David Goggins necessarily going to try to deal with a delicate situation or deal with a family member who's flipped out because, a different family member got arrested or is on, like, you have to navigate human interactions as well as be prepared to navigate very difficult, real enforcing the law interactions, be it a foot chase or car chase or shootout, whatever it is, and then go back to school night where you're smiling at everyone. Yeah,
they're two very different jobs, right? And I think if you wanted to compare, while we are we say, paramilitary organization, it's paramilitary because it's structured the same, right? And there are comparisons of, oaths and honor and all those things. Sure. That's what makes it paramilitary. The jobs are different. They just really are. I mean, we're not carrying around, 4,000 pounds of gear and getting in shootouts every day. That it's just different. Wartime and domestic maintenance, if you will, are very different. And it's just as you described. It's this up and down. And you have to find the right applicant that can do that too. I mean, I sat on oral boards for years, and I remember a guy came in and his resume is amazing. Like, oh wow, look at all this combat stuff he's got, SWAT and all. And he was working for a private company overseas, doing security stuff, like high speed stuff. Yeah, but he's an asshole, right? Right. And I was like. And I just posed to him one of the questions. It's on this, asking him about lethal force and all that. And he just looked at me and said, "Do you even know what I do?" And I'm like, "Get out of here, man. We have to have both. You better be able to perform during an armed robbery or, or a shootout, whatever. You better be able to. But unfortunately, I do need you to dial it right down and go to the guy who's walking on the other guy's grass and work that out." And so I say that all the time. We hire for culture. We don't hire for resume. We can teach you a lot of things, but you have got to have this personality that allows you to kind of flow in and out of that. And, for not to be corny, but really be a part of the community, right? We don't want you to be an automaton that when the bell rings, just go and take care of the thing and then go back to your charging
Right.
phase.
And you have one tool.
Yeah.
It's like, no. You got to have 10 tools and patience and calm and just, and again, I've never been in law enforcement, so I'm not trying to tell you from my years of experience, but some of the greatest things that I've seen with law enforcement responses, and again, these are things that have been shared with me, is when somebody, if I were getting the stimulus that the person was getting, if I was in the interaction, it's like, I'm always like, oh my God, I would be doing something. And seeing somebody who's like, hang on, just wait. Like, don't respond right now. Just, keep everybody safe. But like every second that goes by, you could feel things start to deflate just a little bit. It's like, okay, here we go. Like now we're moving into a different phase of this, interaction. But again, for me, it's like, I would just want to be responding right away, like instantly take some kind of action. It's like, that's not going to help.
Yeah.
You got to have this tool where you just keep your cool and you don't respond and you don't take the bait and you don't, escalate the situation. And again, like just stuff I've seen.
Yeah,
So I
it's
appreciate
100%. I mean, it's not to tell a ton of stories, but I had a trainee like that one time. He was, brand new trainee, great guy. He really good friend of mine to this day. And he was a deputy for a long time. And we were close to the Walmart up on Overland, and an armed robbery comes out in the parking lot of the Walmart, and we're around the corner. And I thought he was going to jump out of the car. And I'm like, hey, man, we're a couple blocks away, man. I'm like, hey, settle down for a minute. Like, we are the closest unit, and we're going to be first on scene. But let's take it down a notch, because digest the information that's coming in so that we can respond appropriately, and we don't just drive in the middle of the parking lot, jump out of the car, and start looking around. But you really have to have that person that can process that information quickly, and it's not always easy, right? And because you never know what's going to go on, and that causes a lot of fatigue too. That hypervigilance all day long. If things are happening all around me, I have to take them all in, but I still have to be calm and collected about it.
Yeah. As you know, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I was trying to explain to somebody the other day. It's like, listen, when you start, you care and you're hyper reactive to so many things. And you're always like, somebody grabs them. You're like, break the grip. Or like, all these problems, all this drama. And it's like, as time goes on, everything gets whittled down to like, I really only care about the left hand. And I really only care about the left hand if the left hand goes right there. Other than that, it's okay. And like, yeah, this person is trying to get you, but it's going to be okay. Just calm down and think through the problem. Yeah, the thing you're saying just relates so clearly to that, which is just calm down. Like, we have time. There is time here, and we're gonna respond appropriately. But you need to have presence of mind. You have to like look at yourself from outside. Do you look like somebody who's calm, or do you look like somebody who's about to freak out? Because right now you're freaking out,
right? Well, and then so now we take that scenario of the calm and the collective, and now compound. I'm working graveyard, and this is my second day of overtime. So I'm working two more days because I'm having some kind of financial issue, whether it's your fault or not. And, and all the things I said before, my dad's got Alzheimer's, and brother's got compound that into hey, when I arrive on this, at this crisis, I better keep it together, and I better be able to switch on and process the information and act appropriately. It's tough. And I'm not making excuses for bad behavior or anything like that. I want to be able to recognize it and say, all right, how do we maintenance and keep someone from getting to that point?
Question for you. In the original discussion that we were kind of having here about, say, this gal who's like, hey, look, I can't go home, and then like go at 8 o'clock to see some counselor. Like, is this still on them to find the appropriate counselor, or do you guys have people that you're like, okay, we'll do it during the day, like either find your own or we have one? Like, how does that work?
So currently, what we do is through the EAP program, again, the Employee Assistance Program that is provided by the county, we supply them with website and phone number, and they call and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody, about a thing, and that they will say, here are the people that are available within the program.
Got it.
Now, that doesn't keep them from going outside the program, and their insurance may cover it. So that's how we get them the resources they need. We also have some really good guides that other programs have provided to us of, hey, if they're having these types of problems, here are these resources. We also have a peer support program within the agency. Now, those are successful and not successful peer support. We'll never get, it's an amazing program, but it's basically people who have some sort of not certification, but training or abilities to help other employees. Now, sometimes employees enjoy that because they're like, okay, well, I can go talk to this person. But sometimes they're like, well, I don't really want to talk to a coworker right now about this thing. So they have a really great place in our agency and they do a great job, but we also need to recognize, hey, sometimes they need to talk to someone else. So we've shared with other agencies, Boise, even Canyon County, to say, hey, they've asked us and we've asked them, can we use some of your peer support people for this thing? Because I think our employees would feel more comfortable having someone that aren't other employees to do that. So there's not really a network of that, but we can share that resource.
Gotcha.
So what is exciting is that we were approved for a new position for a wellness coordinator in this fiscal year. Going to be a tough spot to fill, I think, because it's a pretty unique position.
Yeah, and wellness means a lot of different things.
It does.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean, hey, someone who's having a mental health issue, but we're looking at physical, we're looking at mental. It could even be like financial if they needed direction there. But the job posting is out there. A little shameless plug here. The job posting is out there right now. Look at Matt.
So if you're wondering,
but
podcasting isn't paying that well these days.
But it's got to be a pretty special person to work with law enforcement, right? Now it's available to all of our employees, but the wellness coordinator would be someone who's a clinician. And they would help coordinate all of those wellness visits that I'm talking about, the
Sure.
physical visits and the mandatory stuff, and also be able to do things in-house if people are comfortable with that, or help employees find those resources instead of a pamphlet of this, of like, hey, we can, instead of going to an employee and going, here's all the places you can go, they could have a person that would help them coordinate that. Because honestly, we've coordinated multiple times of sending employees to outpatient treatment in other states for all kinds of things that are for mental wellness.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is keep us from getting to that point of where somebody's in such crisis that we have to help them find resources out of state so they can be in inpatient treatment. That's a big deal. And we want them to be well. So we are happy to do that. But wouldn't it be great if we could catch that before they have to go to inpatient treatment?
Yeah. And so, I mean, just in my own personal life, I remember a mentor of mine a long time ago when I was in my early 20s and working like a dog. And he was like, listen, whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of their issues are always tied together, and a lot of them are tied very closely to money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I was like 24, 25. So I'm like, well, how do you play this? I was like, look, you have a couple and they're arguing. One person's arguing that the person works too much. The other person's arguing that they're, like they don't get time to work out. Like you have all these different things. And ultimately what they're also arguing about, even though they don't know it, is that there's at the core of it is a need for finance, right? Mm-hmm. And if you exacerbate the need for finance, then you also put pressure on all the other things. Because now you're working, like you kind of said, overtime. You're getting even less time for yourself or your spouse or whatever these things might be. And then of course you have something really bad that happens, and then everything spirals out of control. So the old version of siloing problems, right? And we do this dietarily. Like everybody's like, oh, eliminate gluten, eliminate sugar, eliminate alcohol, eliminate, one of just fix this one thing, get rid of saturated fats, and you're going to be okay. But in reality, it's like, okay, you could eliminate any one of the, you could probably eliminate two of them. But what happens if you just sit down and don't walk around for 12 hours a day every day? Well, then your health is going to go to hell, even though dietarily you did the things correctly. And so like you have all of these things, which is, I do really appreciate the kind of, and I know this word gets a really bad rap, but the more holistic approach in general to quote wellness, because it's like, okay, it's not just sugar. It's not like Like I had a milkshake yesterday. I'm not dying, right?
Right, right.
And by the way, like, oh my God. So I've been training a lot lately because I finally got a spot of my own that I can train, but I don't have a heater set up in the spot. So it was yesterday, 6 a.m. and it was like under 40 degrees. And it's like my buddy comes over to train and we're both in like 4 layers.
I've been there.
I didn't take my wool socks off. Like my hands I could barely feel my hands. It's like 6 a.m. too. So my grips aren't really warmed up. So my fingers are killing me. But it's like, look, I was able to eat the milkshake or drink the milkshake and the burger, by the way, in Bingham, or I went with Joey Bingham from Gooding. So we went to Stampede Burger. If you ever go to Gooding, Stampede, oh my God, Stampede Burger. It is so good. And the Maverick Burger, essentially they took their 2 most popular burgers and they smashed them together. So it was like a firecracker burger and like a dynamite burger or something. I'm screwing up the names, but the point is they merged the 2 and it is the most unholy, incredible alliance of burgers you've ever had. Anyway, the point is like, I was okay doing these things because you have a holistic sense of wellness. You have movement, you have mental engagement, you have, you splurge a little bit on the milkshake. And by the way, when I went home, I didn't drink a beer. So I'm not mixing these 2 things. And, I got enough sleep, all of this wrapped together with like, okay, I can tolerate these individual things because collectively as a whole, there's enough good happening that I'm all right. If you just eliminate the milkshake, but everything else is trash, it doesn't matter, man.
Agreed. I mean, you can't just point at one of these mental health issues that we deal with across the spectrum here, as far as PTSD, anxiety, depression, all those things that are present in first responders, and say, well, if we get them to feel better about this thing, it should all go away. And the dietary explanation of, that's not going to work because there are all these other things that go along with that.
Right.
I get, and maybe this is a bad example, I'm not sure, but when early on in my career, when I didn't make much money at all, and just young couple with a young child,
Sure.
we just didn't have any money, and so we cut out a lot of things, right? But cutting some of those other things out caused anxiety as well. So we can't go do things with friends. We can't do these things. Well, we needed that social interaction too. I mean, that's kind of a weird example, but it's kind of,
no, I think
right?
It's a perfect example.
Right? Of, we're going to be okay financially, but now we've kind of siloed ourselves away from other people because we feel like we can't go do those things, and it causes other types of issues, right?
I think it was Cecil Andrus, the former governor. I was chatting with somebody about a few months ago, and it was like, his big sentiment is you have to create a life that's worth living, right? It's like, it's not just, are you surviving, but if you're surviving in a life that's you don't want to exist in, what good is having that life? Right. And I agree with you. Like my wife and I worked 7 days a week for when we were in our 20s, and we missed out on a lot. We were pretty much just it for each other as far as socializing, because we would work in times on the weekends and during the evenings when other people were out doing things. And you do run into like, okay, well, how does this work? Because we're surviving in this other way, but this is really, really rough. And we lost friends, and, justifiably, they're like, listen, man, every time we called a dozen times, and none of the dozen times could you do anything. So we just stopped calling.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult balance to find.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. You really have to look at it holistically. I mean, if you have someone that's in crisis and you're helping them deal with some of these things that are happening at work, but they're also having financial issues. I mean, we should help them. We can't just give them money, but maybe we should help them, learn how to manage their finances, all the things, right?
Right.
You're right. It's a holistic approach. And I'm hoping this wellness coordinator brings all of those things that I just talked about, all of these outside entities that provide us with care, the peer support group, the mandatory, physicals, all those things, and is able to be the hub for all of that. Again, having someone drop into a law enforcement agency that's a stranger and help them, help them, convince people, I'm going to help care for you. That's going to be a big job. It can be done for sure, but cops are usually suspicious of what is this new thing over here and why is it? But we've come, like I said, from the required wellness visits of what is the underlying meaning here? I'm suspicious of why this is a thing, to, this is what we do to help maintenance ourselves.
I will say, the only people that are more suspicious in my experience with podcasting than law enforcement is people that work in Fish and Game. And like, both parties are so anxious to talk to anyone. It's like, both people are like, what does this guy want? I'm like, I don't want anything, I promise. Like, I'm not a crazy person.
That wasn't what I was
I'm sure not. But let me tell you, it took me like 3.5 years to get the director of Fish and Game on. And it was like the biggest ask ever. It was like, I promise I'm not a crazy, like, I'm not trying to get some like articulation about elk populations is going to put you in a bad light.
Right.
But it's like, but again, like you have two bodies that are under the most intense scrutiny ever, and again, as they should be.
Yeah.
Like, but it is one of those things. Handling you guys is interesting. It's like, I promise I'm not a crazy person. Like, I just like, listen, like, ask your friends. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. I've always had to say that, like, hey, when I'll tell people, you should talk to Matt Todd. Here's the things, because they all have the like, well, what the hell is this? What is happening here?
What is happening?
What's the angle? What's the angle with this guy? Like, no angle. Just talk to him.
It's okay.
It's all right. And I don't know. You're right. It's just, I was not expecting Fish and Game to be that.
I actually went out to talk to one of the chief of staff of one of the national delegates recently. I went out and got coffee with him, and just, again, because I'm new to politics, I'm not in politics, but I'm like standing adjacent to them. So I was like, can you help me understand this? Because I don't get it. And he said, which I thought was really funny, he was like, listen, when you reached out to us, it was like I reached out to them or somebody recommended, I can't remember how it worked, but the point is, it was like we grabbed your show and I handed like a dozen or 24 episodes to like my coworker. I'm like, okay, you listen to these. I'm going to listen to these. Let's figure out what the angle is and we'll go from there, figure out what this guy wants. And it was like, after like a month, we had listened to like 50 episodes each and we're like, I can't tell what this guy wants. Like, he doesn't have an angle.
Which is a good thing.
Right. I was like, oh, awesome. He's like, yeah, man, we put you through the ringer before we called you back. And we only called you back because we realized, like, okay, I don't actually think he's trying to get something, or either that or he's hiding it as best as anybody ever has. And it's like, hundreds of episodes later, it's like, yeah, man, like punch a hole in it wherever you want.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love about this podcast is you just come at like, I lizard brain everything. So Matt Todd is, what is this thing? Tell me about it. Like that's what in my brain, that's what Matt Todd's podcast is like. What is this thing?
Wait, what's happening over there? Yeah. Like, what is that?
And then they explain something and you're like, what? I don't know how many times we've seen it. So are you telling me?
Yeah, right. Because like people say things like, wait a minute, like this is what.
That's what it is right there.
Like, wait a minute. Because I'm trying to be like, okay, this is what I'm taking away. Is that accurate? And they're like, yeah, that's right. It's like, wow, I had no idea. I learned this thing about totally unrelated rooftop solar the other day, and then irrigation farmers, right, or pump farmers and like irrigation power rates. I'm like, God, that makes so much sense though. Like I would have, like, here's one. I'm not going to say don't get solar panels in Idaho, but the problem is with solar is we don't even use power when you're producing power. Like at 11:30 in the afternoon, when you're pumping out solar power, like no one's at home. Everybody's at work. You're making power when no one needs it, which means if Idaho Power is like, okay, we have this power source and we have this power source. If we buy from, let's say, I don't know, like our hydro or something, it's only like 2 cents a kilowatt. But the solar customer is producing it at the same time. They want like 12 cents a kilowatt, but like we could replace it for 2 cents. So we're just going to pay him 2 cents because that's the replacement cost. And the Idaho Power customer who's buying, they're going to have to make up the delta. And so then all the rooftop solar people get mad because they're like, what about that 12 cents you were talking about? It's like, and then the Idaho Power's like, nah, man, that was the salesman.
I was just going to say, us. It was the guy that was like, this is amazing. The company.
This is the best.
Oh yeah, you're going to make
We have the best solar. I don't know why we went into Trump impression, but this is the best solar. This is the best solar. And it's like, what's really funny is like PSA, if you have a rooftop solar salesman come by your place right now this year, because I know it's going to happen because Idaho Power increased residential rate by like 16% this year. They're going to come by with a chart that says like they did 16% this year. If they do that for another 3 years, you get your solar paid off in like 24 months. Like all these. Yeah. They're not going to tell you they dropped it 11 cents last year. Like the power markets go like this, right. And they're going to take this little snapshot and make a graph going straight up and be like, buy today. Ha ha. Like, yeah, make your own decision. But like that graph is a lie. Anyway, these are things that I learned. I'm like, I had no idea. Like that's wild times.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny what we don't know about what's going on around us, including me, right? Like people think I know everything about the news, what's happening in the news and everything, but there's not a day goes by where I go, what does that mean?
What are you talking about?
Tell me about that. Yeah. Especially in this job, and anybody that works in law enforcement will tell you every day, they go, what is this? What is this nonsense? How are we gonna figure this out? And you'll have somebody that goes, hey boss, how are we gonna I don't know, I've never seen this before. Let's figure I don't know. That happens every day. Every day.
I envision you as like the guy, who is it? Kevin Costner from Yellowstone, when he like pulls up to his house and he like looks down at his phone just for a second and somebody knocks on the window and he's like, can I just get a goddamn minute? Like, can I just, or like sitting at your desk like, oh, what fresh hell is this? Like, what are you saying? Like, what happened? What did he do with the turtle? What?
I think it was Sunday, and I was sitting there with my wife, and my phone's just going off, and I said, I want people to stop texting me like all day today, please. And it's funny. So I used to complain about the last sheriff about how I would text him, and he wouldn't text me back for like a whole day. And
you're like, what is he doing?
And I'm like, what is up with this guy? Like the rest of the free world just texts you right back. And now I totally get it. And I actually text people who are as busy as me now, and they don't text me back, and I don't get upset because I'm like, yeah, I get it. And like,
dude, I just responded to a text message this morning that got sent to me on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At 5 a.m, because like that's what I'm doing now. Yeah. And it's like, okay, when can I make it up to University of Idaho to interview the dean of the Department of Ag? Okay, and like, who else am I going to interview while I'm up there? Because it's a long drive, and like, where do we even shoot it? Like, I don't know, man. Sometime in the future, like you just don't even have an answer. You're like, I don't even know how to start breaking down the required information I would need to give you an intelligent answer for this. Because it's still dark outside and I'm only 2 cups of coffee down.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like a snob sometimes because I have an executive assistant and she's amazing. Like one of the most amazing people.
God, I need to get on that bandwagon.
And when you texted me about, I think you texted me. Did I text you? I don't remember. It was like, it was a weekend in the evening or something. And you're like, hey, well, when can we do this? And I'm like, and when people ask me that on my cell phone, I'm like, oh God, I don't know. Like, and so because I feel like a snob because I'm like, I need you to talk to Ann about that. Like,
yeah, right.
I'm going to send you to my executive assistant, but man,
it's better than sending me a Calendly link. Like when people are like, oh, I'd love to line something up with you. You're like, oh, okay, great. And next thing you know, you get a link to their calendar. You're like, okay, now I got to sift through their calendar. Yeah, like I'd much rather talk to a person, be it you or an assistant. It's like, okay, great. We'll just
tell me when we can make this happen.
Yeah.
I've had to have like friends of mine like, hey, I'm going to send you this lady's information, like your information to this lady. She's going to call you and set this up. I feel like a horrible person, but my calendar's insane, And so
I had this is really funny. I had a conversation with my wife this weekend because she was like, oh, dude, we need to do this thing. It was like a roof thing, like a gutter.
Yeah.
We need to get this gutter done as soon as possible. Mind you, it's raining. And so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, you're telling me as soon as possible, but I can't do it now, which means I have to file it away somewhere else. And you're just telling me this, which means it's just vibrations in the air and it's going and I can't take action on it right now. And I have no way I don't have my phone. And so I have no way to even catalog this to-do list. So we ended up like, we had to go through this whole thing. And what I settled on was like, hey, just make a Google Doc, share it with me, have 2 categories within it. immediately and sometime in the future. And as I have a free moment, I'll reference it and be like, okay, today Matt is going to get the gutter done or do the blowout on the one-off sprinkler or like whatever.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
The Google Doc is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like I think it's, and as long as you remember to reference it, so then leave yourself a note at 6 a.m. every day saying like, reference the Google Doc. And if you find a free 30 minutes in your schedule, just take one of those items off and put it in there.
Mine was the chimney cleaning. Guy comes tomorrow. Took me 2.5 weeks to call him. I'm like, because I get home every day. I'm like, it's like 6 o'clock. They're closed.
They're closed.
I'll call them tomorrow. And then all day the next day, I forget all about it because things are all happening. They're closed again.
They're closed
like
again.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I remember when I just had standing in my kitchen having an epiphany this weekend. I'm like, I just got to leave a message. I just got to leave a message.
Do something.
Somebody's got to call me.
Dude, I feel your pain. And I'm not even like an important person. I feel your pain.
Well, you're important,
oh,
Matt.
well, thank you. God, how awkward. I don't even like, somebody got mad at me the other day. They're like, we invited you to this thing and you came. I was like, yeah. And which, by the way, I never do. Like, I never go out into the public. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, but you never bring your, like, we're not even convinced that you're married and you have kids. I'm like, I do. I just never take them with me anywhere now. It's not like I'm even an important person, but like, I don't ever want them merging within like this. It's like, you'll never know what my kids look like. You'll never know what my wife looks like. Like, I won't even show you a picture. Like they did not sign up for this. So like, yeah, man. Anyway,
my wife reminds me of that all the time. I didn't sign up for this.
Well, like, and that's actually a truism. Like when you guys being in law enforcement, what are the odds you're going to end up being sheriff of Ada County? Like astronomically low, right?
And she works in the criminal justice system. So our careers have kind of mirrored each other as far as moving up the chains and all those types of things. But this thing, but this thing was not.
That was not in the works.
It wasn't in the works. So
yeah. Plus, there's like, it takes a lot of, I don't want to say luck, but like a lot of things have to happen, even if it is your target. Like there are plenty of people right now, I'm sure, that are starting like, I would like to be sheriff one day. Well, probably only one of you is going to be that. Or maybe none of you are going to be that because there was a guy a year ahead of you that started and he wanted to be. And once he got in, he stayed past the time when you retired before you got your child in election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing. It's very strange.
Listen, I know today's a working day. Believe it or not, it's a working day for you. Is there anything else you wanna hit here?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll do it again if you want.
Yeah,
to.
it's fine.
I'm glad to hear about these things.
Yeah,
right. Like I didn't really understand the depth of all of these things, and I still don't. But I wasn't really introduced to them until I met Mackenzie, and since I met her, it's like, wow, man. Like there needs to be more done for this.
She's a great touch point for this. I was on her podcast a couple of years ago, and she's good people and really understands that. I mean, she comes from that EMS side, but it is first responders specific. I mean, it is not specific to just law enforcement, fire, EMS. It's across the board, and we've lost first responders here in this county to suicide that we don't talk about it much because, it's not appropriate to talk about that's happened. We talk about it in a more general sense that, hey, first responders are prone to suicide. People don't know. We've had first responders from every one of the disciplines. We've had them take their own lives here in the county and, over the last, handful of years and some of them on duty, and people don't know that. But, and we're not going to broadcast that because it's not appropriate for their families and all that, but people need to know that it's a tough deal. And it's not always because, something happened at work. It usually is that combination of things and then something happens at work. Right. And it really wasn't this thing. It was all of this, then this happened. But yeah, it's a tough deal.
Well, I hope you get the wellness coach filled, and I hope the person is spot on.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's going to be a toughie to fill, but it's posted now, so we'll see what happens.
God bless him, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in today.
Yeah,
thanks for what you do, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.